Hello, sisters. Okay, this is particularly about sisterhood, and the injuries that we may feel in our ancestral line, in our soul story, from this lifetime or otherwise, from the imprinting that you carry of your mother and grandmothers. And so let's talk about what I see as the two core things that are hidden in women that keeps you from being, deeply settled in a circle of women, and potentially hinders you from ever approaching it or wanting to go there. And then how do we work with that? That is my goal for this time together. And may it serve you. May any of these words serve you and touch your heart and just promote healing and release of whatever has been holding in your history and herstory and imprinting. So the first thing that's often unconscious among women, and even when there's such encouragement about girlhood, sisterhood, yay, women, gather with women, women supporting each other, women lifting each other up, this sort of thing. And that is happening, and it's awesome. And I've seen a lot of change there, and oftentimes there is unhidden in the unconscious, in the shadow for women, is competition and jealousy. And the more that gets pushed down and stays in the shadow, it's unfortunate because it's just some of your trapped energy. It doesn't hurt me if you feel you want to compete with me or are jealous of me, but it hurts you. And so I know that from how much energy I had in my teens and 20s, and then I began to see and really be honest about jealousy and competition in my 30s. But that was simply trapped energy. That is trapped vitality. That's you. So we don't want that energy trapped. And how we release energy is by admitting it to ourselves, even when it could feel shameful. First, admit it to yourself, and then if you could admit it to someone else, that's beautiful, because the witnessing of someone who can accept you in it and love you in it and just go, yeah, I feel that too. Thank you for being so honest. That really helps us all by being honest. It's so ingrained. It's so deeply historical. Generations and generations and generations of competition between women. It's been bred because not so long ago, and still in some parts of the world, certainly, or many parts of the world, it depends on the situation or the person, the people and their partnerships, but partnerships have often been formed out of possession. Like, particularly women were something that you owned, not really a person. Like, I own her, I tell her what to do. She is my property. And this was the way of marriages, as you know. So it's important to acknowledge that, because when you acknowledge this sense of ownership and property over a woman, this lording over, this was also how women gained rights, like through either how kind or how generous their potential partner was. And so it pitted women against each other by them not having rights, by women in the past not having rights. It pitted them against each other. There would always be that undercurrent of, what is in many parts of the world, in much of our history, why doesn't he pick me? I want him to pick me. That then I could have some freedom. Then I could have some rights if I could attain wealth by that person picking me, if I could attain status by that person picking me, if I could obtain, adoration and all these things that feed the ego by this person choosing me. So that over generations, as you know, like some thousand of years, but that is very alive. That's a very real thing. And it's not that long ago. And so it still happens. So it still happens unconsciously. And when any particular woman, just you, yourself listening to this, if you push down the fact that you feel jealous sometimes, it's just going to come out in a sideways, wiggly, like offhanded way. If you push down that you feel competitive and then feel ashamed of being competitive because maybe you feel like that's not really my values, I'm not a competitive person. Well, denying that actually is just making it worse. It's quite natural to have a sense of competitiveness because it's born of this desire to succeed, and it's born of this desire to like feel good about my accomplishments and to like really improve ourselves, let's say, or better ourselves. So a healthy sense of competing in something, like if I see someone succeeding in an area where I want to succeed, or they've already accomplished so much in an area where I want to accomplish, I can turn that into competition, like, oh, I suck, or like, if I'm insecure, then I would go like, I'm as good as them, like they think they're so good, or I might put them down to try and make myself feel better. Or I might just stew in jealousy. Why doesn't that happen for me? Why don't I get to have that? Wah, wah, wah. But really, what that's meant for is to like, inspire me to another level of my own aspirations. Inspire me to another level of my own accomplishment or success, or, beauty or attunement or intuitiveness, or my own. It's meant to inspire to my own sense of, comfort with other women. So when you see something that you want, if you can admit that you're jealous of it or you want more of that thing, this is a direction, this is your path to freedom, because you admit it within yourself, and then you go, I want that actually. I want that. How can I get that? Rather than being victim or putting someone down or trying to boost yourself up. Those are all just little stories and little habits that are certainly strong in our collective, and it can take a lot of strength and courage, and definitely self-awareness to not do that. And that's just a growth piece. So watch for the competition and jealousy. See if you can embrace it within yourself. Anytime we embrace anything in the shadow, oh my God, this is helping the whole collective. So you assist the collective to be more honest and truthful and ultimately free. I'm all about freedom. Let's go freedom. The other central thing that seems to be holding in the collective of women and sisterhood, either you have it, you don't have it, you desire more of it. Why do people exclude me? Why don't I have this? Why don't I have that? Why, there's just, when you see those kinds of questions in yourself or those kinds of thoughts, this is related to grief. And as I spoke about with the first point, this loss of women's, firstly it was the loss of the right to gather, losing our rights, right? You don't have rights. Women can't gather. That was somehow dangerous, and like witch hunts, or just like pitting of something's wrong with her because she's not married, or I heard she gathered in the forest with a circle of other women or whatever, or she gathers herbs. And so stories got churning around women gathering, and they could, obviously they would gain strength by gathering. We love each other, ultimately. We gain strength by gathering. We gain strength by gathering with all people, but if we're just talking the history of sisterhood, there was huge loss that it didn't feel safe to gather anymore in many parts of the world. It didn't feel safe to gather anymore. Oh, I just have duties to my marriage, or I have duties to this husband, or this is my role now. And so maybe in public it was safe to gather and have some certain elements of freedom, but the kind of power and memories that come alive by women gathering did not feel safe to, societies and cultures. And then if we go back further, thousands of years, there was time when women and fertility and their creativity was revered and really awed. Like, how does she create? She is like a goddess. How does she create life? How does she create life? So there was a time when that was really honored, and the power of women was a beautiful thing. And however that got tainted, that wasn't just about men like tainting that. I don't think originally. It was just somehow insidiously and over time, also the threads of competition and jealousy and women seeking power over one another as well, and competing with each other as well, as all of this land domination and conquering stuff was going on. It just changed. It just changed from fully life generating creation, honoring, creation, reverence. It changed. So I think especially what I see is the grief when it was no longer safe. All safety was lost in gathering with women. That there was just a grief that did not have space to be healed. And I believe we're still doing that in a huge way right now on the planet. That grief did not have space to be healed at all. I mean, how can you heal something if you don't acknowledge it first? You don't really know how to deal with the immensity of loneliness or loss, or you feel loneliness and loss and you don't know what's missing. Well, generationally, for your grandmothers and great-grandmothers, great-great-grandmothers, and then generations over and over again, she lost this sense of freedom. She lost a sense of independence. She lost a sense of the collective. She lost a sense of being honored as the creator of life. She lost a sense of her sisters. She lost that circle that was there in birth, in death, in huge loss, in illness, in the medicines, in the wisdom. She just lost. And so if your mom and grandmothers and did not get a chance to heal that, it would be in the imprint of most women somewhere. So if it's been rising up, that's probably, that probably drew you to listen to this. And that requires really honoring that deep grief. And then in terms of this lovely question that was asked of me, those are the two things that I think are crucial, I've noticed are crucial for women to address within themselves, and then how to work with it. I've made this little acronym, C as in the letter C, the girl, GRL, C the girl, CGRL. So the first thing is to commit that I will be the one in my generation to have a change. I commit to walking all the steps necessary for me to feel safe and for me to embrace and welcome circles of sisterhood, for me to embrace and welcome deep friendships that are safe and trusting with women. I commit to healing any of that grief. I commit to healing over that jealousy and competition. I commit to freeing myself. That commitment will take courage. But that is the first thing. There has to be a commitment for me. And then grieve as it comes up. Allow grief. It's not to be afraid of. If you are addressing this now in your whole generational line, then it's because you have the ability, You have the ability. I 100% trust that you have the ability. You're committed to growth, and you are capable of addressing, seeing and acknowledging and allowing old grief. And if you need guidance and support with that, reach out for it, whether that's a somatic therapist, energy work, my work. Find what you need. Celebration, dance, music, however you do it. For me, it's been many ways. It's been all of those things. So we have C, G, R, and then in R, you have to take responsibility 100%. Is the commitment there? to see the change, and then you will have to, within yourself, take responsibility for everything that you see. As in, if you get a projection, if you get a life experience of women being competitive with you, that is somehow a reflection of your own energy imprint. So can you acknowledge when you feel competitive, or when you have in the past? Can you acknowledge that you have that energy in you? Or if women appear to be jealous of you and something happens as a result, or others do, anyone, can you acknowledge your own jealousy of others at times? It might be completely unrelated. One way that I worked with healing that is when I realized I needed to free up that jealous energy, I decided I would start saying it to my friends. Like, if somebody was going on a trip, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm totally jealous of you. I want to go. Or had a huge success or something. I'm not sure like what it would be, but I'm so happy for you, and I'm jealous. I want that too. I want more of that in my life. Some romance or wonderful experience a woman might explain to me, and I'd be like, oh, I'm jealous. Recently I saw a woman with her baby, and that brought back certainly nostalgia, but also some envy. Like, oh, I'm just envious. I just want to be holding my baby again. I just want to be holding a baby again for some days. So that it just is freeing to fully allow it without judgment or shame, okay? That's when you might take responsibility that everything you see outside is in you. And then the last thing is love. So see the girl, CGRL. The last thing is love. See the girl in you. See the loss that she experienced. See the hurt that she experienced. Grieve for her. And also just love her. We don't want to stay in that grieving place. Or maybe you need to express anger and other emotions. Fear. Talk to somebody about it. You may have been really hurt by women, like the mother, I don't know, teachers, girls in school. And so that requires that. You've heard me, most people have heard me say it if you listen to me. That requires that reparenting element where you go back and you just really love that earlier part of yourself. Like, I'm so sorry this happened to you. I love you. That was wrong. I love you. And there's other elements, in terms of forgiving people that hurt you as well. But that's a process, and that might be something that you need support with, or just like somebody walking along with you on the path. I will always recommend somatic therapists. You can always do a consult with me, and I will recommend a therapist if that seems most helpful. And my work is very specific. If you need to get past something specific, I do one-on-one work in a 5-week package with guaranteed results of change in whatever you're seeking. And if you want to ask me about that, I can explain how I can offer that guarantee. But also you can have a consult with me, and I will refer you if it seems like somatic therapy is a way to go. But you likely have lots of resources in your life, so look for those things that will help. Again, addressing, allowing, without shame, jealousy, competition within yourself, seeing it, freeing it, allowing grief within yourself, and then, commit to the girl. See the girl in you. CGRL. Commit, grieve and grow, take responsibility, and just love all parts of the self, and every sister, every human obviously, but every sister. That's also part of how we heal with each other and create the safe circle again. May all people on this planet understand the beauty of the circle. May all women come back to their own freedom and safety in being with other women, if that's what's needed, or just being connected. May all people be safe. This is my deep prayer for the world. May all beings know safety, connection, and love. Thank you for listening.